y'all, welcome back to the Knit+Sip podcast. I'm Kate and we're talking about the 30's Snood and going through a brief how-to today. So first of all, I want to start by going through the pattern just a little bit. We're going to take a look at the pattern and just a few tips on how to read patterns if this is your first time knitting. And of course, this series is for beginners, so maybe this is the first time that you've looked at a pattern. So let's talk about it. All right, so looking at the pattern, we have our materials, we have our gauge, which is not something for this project you have to worry much about, and it says that, but it's a nice part of a pattern to have just in case. And then we have the skills required. So as a beginner, I often looked at the skills required to decide if I was ready to do a project. And that's a great tip for you. So we've got our basic skills and some abbreviations here. Right side, wrong side, things like that. And then we do have 2 additional skills. However, if you actually look at the pattern, those skills are optional. So slipping the first stitch of each row is optional. It will change the way that your piece looks, but if you're not ready for that, then go ahead and knit and purl as is without slipping your yarn. So that's the first page of our pattern. It will tell us the things that we need when we sit down to start working. So we have our knitting needles. You can use a size 17 straight or circular needle. If you're using a circular needle, I suggest 24-inch cord or longer, just because we want to make sure our stitches actually stay on there. And for this project, you will need 2 skeins of yarn. So whether you have 1 color or 2 color, you're still going to need 2. Especially if you're using, so most of our testers used Monos Franca, and you're going to definitely need 2 of those. So in order to knit from this, you don't want to knit from a hank. So you want to knit from something that's either a skein or a ball of yarn or these pretty cakes as we have here. So make sure that whatever yarn you have, it is something that you can knit straight from, and basically just make sure that it doesn't look twisted up like this, because if you start knitting with this, you are not going to be happy. It will get all tangled and you'll quit before you even start. So that's a little bit about our materials and the first page of our pattern. So we're going to get into the actual pattern itself now. And I will go through the pattern with you and get started, and I'll take you through the various pieces of the pattern. This is not meant to be a video that takes you really, really slowly through how to do a knit stitch or how to do cast on. I do have videos on my website for that, or I always like to send people to Purl Soho's website because I feel like they're a really trusted site as far as how-to videos go, and they're on YouTube as well, but you can go directly to their site. So I'll put that in the link here. So I want to point out that when we're sewing this together, I've gotten a few different questions at the end, and you'll see this in the video. This is a little graphic of how it will look. So you're going to fold the 2 sides basically into C's, and then you're going to overlap them, and you're just going to sew through all 4 layers. And then when you turn it right side out, then you'll have the little, knot looking thing. So that is a brief introduction to the pattern. Let's get started knitting. all for joining us to go through the 30s Snood together today. And don't forget to tune in to our Knit+Sip podcast later this month when we are actually going to be interviewing some professionals in the bourbon industry in Kentucky, because that's one of the things we love around here. And we wanted to talk to them, which is really how the Knit+Sip idea was born. So tune in for that. And then if you're following along in the 12 months of Beginner Knits series, this is our February project, and kits are available on my website. So take a look at the home stretch hat. This is a Purl Soho pattern, and the yarn and kits for this that we'll be using are on my website with a link to Purl Soho. So you won't be getting the pattern for me for this one because it's not my owned pattern, but I will give you the link to the website and you can get it for free yourself and check out everything they have to offer. So thank you all for tuning in. Cheers.